The most dangerous jobs in technology. In the world of information technology, some professions are particularly perilous. Whether you're risking psychological stress or your very life, these fields aren't for the faint of heart. Some people in these roles thrive on adrenaline, climbing thousands of feet to fix communications towers. Others risk only emotional damage, getting paid to consume disturbing internet content. Workplace deaths in the United States have dropped in recent years, along with the employment rate. But before we begin, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for such amazing and informative videos. In the developing world, though, certain countries have a long way to go before some technology-related working conditions can be called humane. Internet content moderation. Think of the most disgusting things you've stumbled across online. Now imagine viewing the stuff that nightmares are made of: hate crimes, torture, child abuse in living color, from 9 to 5 every day. That's the work of internet content moderators, who get paid to filter out that kind of material, so you don't have to see it pop up on a social network or photo-sharing site. Demand for the work is growing, especially as more web-based services enable users to post pictures instantly from their mobile devices. Obviously, it's not the job for everyone, says Stacy Springer, Vice President of Operations at Caleres. The West Des Moines, Iowa company's 55 content moderation employees scan up to 7 million images every day, for some 80 different clients. Some people might take it personally if they have a child and see images of children that might be sensitive to them, or if they see animal cruelty. Caleres content reviewers receive free counseling as well as benefits including health insurance, but for some the psychological scars don't heal easily. Electronics assembly. Safety nets around the dorms of an electronics factory in Shenzhen, China, are a grim reminder that 10 employees have jumped to their death there since January. A 25-year-old employee who later committed suicide reportedly had been beaten at the Honorable High plant after losing a prototype iPhone 4 last year. Recall the frenzy, hoopla, and lines around the block at the launch of Apple's latest smartphone, and you can imagine the deadline pressure for the people assembling it. Foxconn, which makes iPhones, iPads, and other electronics from Apple, Dell, and HP, has been accused of fostering sweatshop conditions. However complex the chain of events leading to suicide may be, human rights groups have criticized Foxconn and other manufacturers for creating an unbearable pressure cooker environment for workers, mostly young migrants from rural areas. In light of the suicides, the company has raised wages, promised psychological testing for employees, and tried to boost morale with rallies. Foxconn plans to increase its workforce of more than 900,000 to 1.3 million in the next year. Psychological pressure isn't the only rough condition reported in electronics factories, though. Labor and human rights organizations also charge that workers testing microchips and assembling LCDs for Samsung were exposed to radiation that caused cancer. Fixing undersea internet cables. Cables that span the oceans keep people connected online across continents. Contrary to popular belief, it's hard connections such as these, not satellites in space, that provide more than 99% of the world's internet connectivity. Someone has to lay and fix those cables when an undersea earthquake or errant anchor cuts off the data flow. About 70 vessels around the world are tasked with fiber optics installation and repairs. Some are on call around the clock. Each has a crew of about 50 people, including cable installation engineers and controllers of remote-operated vehicles, who spend weeks or months at sea. Robots rather than human divers lay and bury cables in the seabed as deep as 16,000 feet below the water's surface. But it takes the human hands on deck to haul in, repair, and drop heavy cables. Though they wear rubber gloves, in a worst-case scenario a cable operating with 10,000 volts could become energized, and looking straight into the lasers of a sliced cable can burn out your retinas in a matter of seconds. As with fishing, perhaps the deadliest profession, this job carries the risk of encountering acts of God on the sea. Members of the crew are also prone to slips, trips, and falls on wet decks. Elaborate layers of safeguards on the vessels reflect the dangerous nature of the work, says John Davies, Managing Director for Global Marine Systems, the largest company that handles submarine internet cables. Communications tower climbing. Close to 11,000 people install and fix the communications towers that keep our mobile calls connected. In 2006, 18 of them died on the job. The head of the Occupational Safety and Health Administration in 2008 called cell phone tower climbing the most dangerous work in America. Clearly it was the most dangerous job if you looked at a niche industry, says Craig Lacoudis, president of the news portal wirelessestimator.com. The industry has made improvements, but any work at extreme heights involves the risk of a fall. Fatalities tend to happen when workers don't use the right safety gear or when they disconnect. Just for a moment. When a person is positioned 30 to 2,000 feet in the air, such shortcuts can make routine tasks such as testing an antenna deadly. Accidents can happen even when the employee takes precautions. A tower can weaken at its base and fall, for instance, or a lanyard can break from a safety harness. Amid a construction boom to make way for 3G and 4G wireless networks, Lacoudis estimates, there are 250,000 communications towers and rising. In regulated e-waste recycling, when you send an old computer or CRT monitor off for recycling, chances are it will wind up in a junkyard halfway around the world rather than being dismantled safely nearby. Used hardware from the industrialized world often travels thousands of miles to developing parts of Asia and Africa. People hoping to earn $1 a day collect machines and smash them with crude tools to strip gold, silver, and other precious metals out of circuit boards. They may come into dangerous contact with lead, cadmium, beryllium, mercury, and brominated flame retardants. Some are exposed to more chemical harm by soaking circuit boards in acid or burning PVC cabling to retrieve copper. Mining, conflict minerals. The Eastern Congo is rich in the key ingredients that keep electronics ticking. The area holds tantalum for use in capacitors, tin for circuit board solder, tungsten to make cell phones vibrate, and gold for connecting components. Despite such natural wealth, tens of thousands, or, by some estimates, hundreds of thousands, of people work in appalling conditions to extract those materials. Potentially each and every one of our cell phones, laptop computers, and PCs contains some of these conflict minerals, says Sasha Lesnev, a researcher for human rights group Global Witness. No tech company has been able to audit and certify that all of its products are conflict-free, but some including Intel and Motorola are taking steps in that direction. Infrastructure work in war zones. A dangerous job in peacetime is one thing, but try focusing on a task when you're the potential target for a sniper or a bomb. Whether building communications infrastructure for civilians or military operations, military personnel and private contractors in the conflict zones of Iraq and Afghanistan risk their lives on a regular basis. Microsoft Store employee. In 2012, the New York Times claimed that working in an Apple retail store was a ripoff, since employees are paid the smallest sliver relative to the bucketloads of cash each Apple drone brings in. But even so, most Apple Store employees really, truly like those Macs and iPhones they're hawking, and the ones who don't are really good at faking it. Compare that to the Microsoft Store above, where employees were shambled and shook in a display of forced exuberance so bad it hurts just to watch. I'm not sure how much you get paid at the Microsoft Store, but the mortification factor of being caught in one of these impromptu dance lines should be enough to deter even the most desperate job seeker. And while I'm at it, is that woman in the white shirt visible at the 210 mark swiping merch, or was she just a Microsoft plant in consumer clothing? Semiconductor processor. The good news. Semiconductors are still being made in the USA. The bad news. The people who oversee their production are slowly being replaced by job-killing robots. And that's why, despite the fact that these jobs pay moderately well and require some post-secondary education, employment prospects for semiconductor processors are pretty bleak going forward, according to a Kiplinger report. The business forecasting firm took a look at data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor and says that job growth for semiconductor processors will shrink even faster than Intel's chip transistors. Apple factory worker. Some of the worst jobs in tech are overseas. The most obviously crappy careers belong to the contractors that build iPhones, iPads, Macs, and more in Chinese factories. Reams have been written about the poor working conditions, riots, and rash of suicides at Foxconn, but working conditions at Pegatron, another major Apple supplier, may be even worse. To be fair, things aren't much better in most Chinese megafactories. Samsung and others have been accused of forcing long hours and atrocious conditions on its workers, some of whom are allegedly underage. So, if you're interested in learning more amazing facts, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to get notified by our new videos. Please like and share the video. Don't forget to comment down your views on this. Thanks for watching till the end.